Guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I just had to like swing you around a little bit right there because our lighting is not very good and I need to try and find a way of actually putting the lights somewhere around me because just having it at that angle at the minute is not really working in terms of light. So today we're going to be talking about the Dougherty dozen today again because there's been a couple of videos that she has been posting which you probably like, if you've been keeping up to date with her anyway, like Radiant Brit has been covering it quite a bit. I like to sort of like leave a little bit of air in between the videos just because it's so hard to actually be able to keep on top of all of her content. She does post quite a lot, she posts quite regularly, she posts like a lot of shorts and then copies and pastes them onto her YouTube channel, and it just all gets a little bit overwhelming with like where I should be going.
Some of my children battle incontinence because of their fetal alcohol syndrome.
But anyway, alas, we are here. And I want to be talking about just a couple of videos that she's been doing. She's been oversharing again. I mean, I feel like it's like beating a dead horse at this point. She always seems to love to bring up her kids' medical issues, updating us on exactly what is the matter with her kids this week and all of this, and it's just completely unnecessary. And the thing is, I don't actually think that she even realizes that she's doing it. She's just so used to oversharing that she just does it, just spur of the moment does it. I also want to talk about her food, her pantry, her larder, her whatever, her hoard of stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of people hoarding food. I feel like during, and I will call it a hoard because I'll show you some clips, right? It's just a mass of stuff, and I don't want to sit here and be all nitpicky and be like, oh, you know, like the quality of the food isn't great, okay? Let's not beat around the bush, but that is not what this video is about, because I don't want to sit here and tell her off for feeding her kids crap, because I feel like that is just taking it, just for me personally, I feel like, yes, that is such an important conversation, but I would much rather, I think there are a lot of other things to really talk about her in regards to her children and all of this kind of stuff, rather than like what she's feeding them. Yes, what she's feeding them isn't great. She feeds them a lot of sugary snack food, which I wouldn't dream of doing for my own kids in that quantity anyway. I'm not saying I've never fed them sugary crap, because of course I have. I'm a mum, I'm human, do you know what I mean? Like, of course I have, but not in that quantity, and it does make me feel really, really uncomfortable. It makes me feel uncomfortable, just the sheer volume of snacks. But it's not just what it is, it's the fact that there is just so much of it. She did her pantry for like, you know, a house of 14.
Right here, this is where we keep cereals, snacks. I have bins down there for different kinds of chips. They have not been organized in a while. I try to keep like spicy lunch chips in one bin, regular chips in a bin, Cheetos in a bin, cookies, muffin bites, chocolatey stuff in a bin, applesauces and fruit cups. And down there are the olive oils, breadcrumbs, and onions. Garage. And we had to expand to even more storage into the garage because we ran out inside.
Was walking around and showing all of us just all of this like mountain of things. I mean, it was a lot. Like, it was a lot of food. And the thing is that she literally goes shopping every single week just to like bulk up the hoard of things. She's a hoarder of food. Like, she goes shopping every single week and she spends like upwards of like 1,200 quid on the same foods that she then just like presents and then just adds to her stockpile. And she's not the only person that does this. She's not the only person that does this whatsoever. I do think that the grocery haul side of YouTube, and I used to do quite a lot of it, I used to do quite a lot of grocery hauls, but you know, a lot of the grocery haul, especially with the bigger families, it does feel like a competition into who can get the most amount of things. And especially during all the different lockdowns, there was definitely a theme of people just like stockpiling food. I don't know whether or not it was the case over in the States, but the case over here in the UK if you were stockpiling food, you would literally get stockpiled on. We had nothing. Like, we ran out of we ran out of like toilet paper, we ran out of bread, we even ran out of yeast. Like, we literally ran out of the ingredients that you put into bread, because people were even stockpiling yeast and all of this kind of stuff, so that you couldn't even make your own bread. Pasta, there was barely any pasta. And I say this because that was what it was like when the world really got tough and it got scary, because you couldn't even find like formula on the shelves, that kind of thing. But Alicia stockpiles things, and there's no reason for her to stockpile anything. Of what I know, you can correct me, maybe there's a food shortage I'm just not aware of in the States, but there's no reason for her to be stockpiling this amount of stuff. And it's also stockpiling of just snacks. It's not stockpiling of like anything that can be of really any substance. She did show us some tins of like fruit and some tins vegetables and things, which I get. If you're going to stockpile anything, maybe try stockpiling things that are tinned, because they last longer. And you know, it was generally quite a lot of that. That would be more worthwhile, but she just stocks up on all of this packets of things, and she's not the only channel that does this. A lot of channels do this. One channel that I did actually manage to find is called Not Enough Nelsons, and they are a foster adopt huge family. And the weird thing is that it kind of feels like a channel that Alicia is almost trying to replicate. I'd never heard of them before, but they're quite similar. And the mum here, when it was during the lockdowns, she did a massive great big stockpiling haul.
Okay, so what I do is I just take a sanitizing wipey and I just wipe off anything that I can't take the items out of.
And it feels like Alicia is trying to copy that, but she's never come back from that. She's like still stockpiling. And the thing is that her fans are now catching on. I don't agree with people stockpiling at any point, especially not when the world is starting to go sideways. And we you know, if everyone decided that they were going to stockpile certain things, then we'd then run out of those things a lot quicker. If you just keep with your normal spending habits, then there'll be enough for everyone. There doesn't need to be like this huge great big race. But she literally acts as if like it is the end of the world, and that is her little like, you know, bunker full of snacks. But it's the fact that her whole channel is sort of built on doing these grocery hauls, so it makes her grocery hauls just a little bit more unnecessary, because she quite literally is just shopping for the sake of nothing, because she's already got all of those things literally bunkered away in her snack bunker. Like, I'm not joking. It makes me wonder whether or not that is what she always has done, or if she's just started doing that now that she's filming grocery hauls for YouTube, if you see what I mean. And the thing with Alicia's channel at the minute is the fact that now I've really started to notice just how many people are now starting to pick out either inconsistencies of what she's doing or just have an opinion in general. Before, if you were to even like hush or whisper out anything slightly negative, you would get pounced on. But now it's a lot easier to actually find comments which aren't in favour of what she's doing. So one person said, "I'm really interested in seeing what you consider empty pantry, because you always buy so much and there's a ton of food that you have in stock. I feel like it's enough food for a whole month or even more, and as a person who tries to avoid overconsumption and is really anxious seeing overflow of foods, I almost had a panic attack. No hate, I'm just really interested whether you really need all that chips and cereal and other stuff every week." And it is true, like, she doesn't need this amount of stuff, and no one needs to stockpile this amount of, like, in this quantity, because what actually would happen if there really was a crisis like there was in the UK, where people were literally running out of formula to feed their kids? Like, it got to a point where there was no toilet roll, and it was because people were actually going into the shops and just taking everything off the shelf. We had a food limit. At one point I was trying to do my online shop, and it actually came back where you couldn't have over a certain amount of items in your basket, and you also couldn't purchase any more than 3 of anything. And that was even like individualized, like they just put a 3 limit on everything so that people wouldn't be able to go in there and just keep on taking things. It literally got to a point where there was no toilet roll, there was no pasta or anything on any of the shelves, and no formula. like to feed your kids, like to feed your babies. There was none of that. And the problem is that yes, she's not stockpiling like things like that, but she's still stockpiling when she doesn't need to. And to me personally, it just comes across as extremely like gluttonous. Like you don't need to spend that amount of money and keep on spending that amount of money when you already have a full pantry. It's just greed, or she either has a serious spending problem. Either one. Another person said, why is no one asking this? How can you have this much food and still spend $1,300 a week on groceries? This is true. This is my whole point. My point, yes, I could say a lot of things about exactly like the nutritional value of what she feeds her kids, and I kind of have I've said a little bit, but I'm not gonna sit here and berate her because I know that her kids do have sensory issues. I do not have kids with sensory issues, so that is one thing that I don't have any experience of it to even vaguely try and touch on the fact that it would be better if she'd feed her kids different things, but I'm not going to get into it, okay? But what I will get into the fact is that she doesn't need to be hoarding this amount of food. And they're saying $13,000 a week on groceries. Even if I tripled the contents of the pantry for my family of 5, I wouldn't come near this amount of food. And it is true. We see it with Alicia when she goes shopping with her kids, and her kids just like dunk and drop anything that they want into the trolley. I think it was her eldest kid dropped like a TV monitor or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. It was a little while ago, just him just going along and just dropping things into the cart. And you know, that must be really, really, really nice to be able to buy your kids whatever the hell they want. But the problem is that you just don't need it. Like, you just don't need it. And I'm sorry, but you just don't need like this overconsumption of things. How often do you go through your stockpile and check expiration dates? Does anything expire or get wasted? I feel like expiration dates have gotten shorter on things I buy. Maybe it's the store not keeping things stocked properly, so older items still on shelves. Well, if Alicia has anything to do with it, there won't be any more products on your shelves because she would have bought them all. Yeah, like those sorts of meals would, like those sort of things would be ultra cool to see. I think I did one of those, I know I did do one of those when I was wanting to like eat a little bit cheaper for the rest of the month. I think I did like 2 or 3 grocery hauls where I was literally using what I had in the pantry. Bearing in mind what I have in the pantry is literally like this tiny little corner of her like bunker, like her little basement, compared to, you know, not a lot of food whatsoever compared to the mass of, you know, piles that Alicia has going on. It was extremely shocking to look at. I mean, she literally had these like pull-out boxes just filled to the brim with snacks, and it's like, how often are your kids snacking? Like, I know she has like 12 kids, but my god, like how often are your kids snacking to get through that amount of food? It looks like it hasn't been touched in ages. Yeah, it's like what I said, I think there's some like really, really fierce competition that goes on between all of the really, really big time grocery haul channels who do all of these like, you know, $500 shops and all of this kind of stuff, or like first of the month shops, and they just get as much, because like if you get a really, really good thumbnail of like all of your food and stuff, it looks really interesting, like you want to click on it, and I completely get where they're coming from, but it just then feels like they're all just like trying to outdo each other with just how much crap they can buy basically. And I can understand like falling into that hole. Like I do kind of get it, like if something performs well on YouTube, you do tend to like want to keep on, you know, you want to be able to like still get the same results and, you know, keep up with it. So I completely get where it would come from, and the fact that you feel like you have to keep on outdoing yourself. But unfortunately, it just comes across as greedy when you literally already have an entire pantry full of food. Okay, so the next bit I'm going to get into is just Alicia with her going around doing yet another shop when she's in the supermarket.
This too much, but there is a People magazine article on us that does address this. That link is in our website.
Going around, and the amount of times she just picked up something on the shelf and just went, oh well, I kind of already have that, but yeah, I'm gonna get it because we've already got that at home. We're just gonna get this and we're gonna bring it, and it's gonna be like our airplane snacks or whatever. And the thing is that they live, okay, my geography is awful, but they live in New York, but they're going to New York City. Is that right? They're both like different New York cities, like actually the city. Is that right? I'm not, obviously not from America. So I really don't know. I know extremely little about the States. The flight apparently isn't very long, and she's going along and she's just stocking up yet again on more things when she's already got a whole pantry full of things. And it makes me think that she's doing these things because like I say, it is content. She's just putting it out because she knows that it's content and people like her grocery hauls. But the thing is that everything she was putting into her basket, she was saying she already had at home, but she just wanted it as like an airplane token. Do you know what I mean?
Able to afford toiletries for my family is what I'm saying. But like, how are some families supposed to afford that? This is not fair.
And the bit that really got to me was that she went, of course she has to go down the medication aisle, and she's then saying, oh, we need this and we need the ibuprofen and we need the this and that and that. And then she goes down like one bit and she then starts talking about how some of her kids have certain toilet habits. And she also mentioned as well, she was like, well, what is it? Which she's saying like that her kids have certain problems with their toilet habits, and she was saying, well, if you read our article in whatever it was like an article that they did, we explained it over there. It's like, oh, did you tell even more people about your kids' toilet habits? Like, I don't understand it. She does this all the time. It was like the last video I did where she was talking about her kids' periods. Like, she just doesn't, she has zero filter, and she like she like burrows it in to like an extremely long video, and you have to actually pay attention to the whole entire video for you to be able to like listen to some of these absurd things that she says. She starts saying that because some of her kids have FAS, that a side effect of that is these certain toilet habits that they have, and she has to get these different things. I'm not gonna like drone into it too much. She has to get these different things for them. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? The only thing that can slightly absolve her is the fact that she didn't actually mention names, which she normally would have mentioned names, so she managed to like reel herself back in just that little bit more. But it was the fact that she was so nonchalantly just saying all of this information again. Why do we have to go over this again? And notice that she never like buys things. She's never really like saying, oh, and this is what I buy for myself, and this is what, like, even coming down to the food, not just the medication but the food as well, she's never saying, oh, this is something that I have bought myself.
And Josh and I are back into eating salads for lunch, so I'm gonna get some croutons.
It's always, oh, this is the stuff that I've then bought my kids, and this is from that child and that child and that child. It's like she just shares so much information about her kids, but she never shares any information about herself. What I did find really quite ironic was that, I can't remember, if I can find the clip, I'll try and find it, because I can't even remember where she said this. She might have said it over on a TikTok or an Instagram live or something, but she was saying, you know, like, she said in this video, she said, oh, well, it's because some of our kids have FAS and they have some of these problems, which is like fetal alcohol syndrome. In a recent post that she did, one way or another, I'll try and find it, she was saying that some of her White Claws are going missing, which is like a alcoholic beverage. You can get them over here, but they're just not as common. That they were going missing, and she just acted really like meh about the whole entire thing. And it's just like,
In case you're wondering why I have White Claw in my bedroom, I can't keep it in the garage anymore. It was just like disappearing. I don't know. Suspicious activity.
it's like, I feel like I'm like getting whiplash. Like, I feel like I'm like getting actual whiplash. I just do not understand this woman. I just don't see the need. I didn't see the need for the whole entire video, okay? She didn't need to go and spend yet another $1,000 on more food when she already had the food at home. She also goes on to say like, oh, you know, like a kid with snacks is a happy kid and all this kind of stuff. It's like, yes, I don't doubt that, but the thing is that you already have all of this stuff at home. It's just the overconsumption. It's like, people may think, oh, why are you picking on her of all the other mums? It's like, I do mention other parents as well. And even the person that I fleetingly mentioned the Nelson people, I had a little browse on their YouTube channel. They're not much better either, to be perfectly honest with you, but I don't know a lot about them. But I think I might actually have to do a little bit of digging now, because you look at some of their content as well and it's pretty carbon copy to the Dougherty Dozen. It's just that theirs is like better produced and things. People will start catching on with it. I think it's such a personal thing to be talking about the kids' incontinence. I don't think they should be talked about like that in such an open way. I also really don't like all the sugar the kids are eating. It's so bad for them. They're literally heading for heart disease. I would get so much less snacks and more fruit and veg snacks. It's okay, maybe at a weekend. And it's like, I get what you mean. I don't want to like comment too heavily on it, only because I know that it will be completely divisive within my audience. Some people might think you're being extremely nitpicky and don't shame a mother for feeding their kids, and then the other side want me to like see red and attack Alicia for feeding her kids those things. Would I personally feed that amount of sugar and thing to my kids? Not a chance in hell. Do I think it's good for them? No, not at all. Like, I don't think it's good by any means. That's not what I'm here, but I just don't want this whole entire discussion to go into shaming her for like feeding her kids, if you see what I mean, because it's just such a like, my main bugbear is the fact that she A, feeds them so many snacks, and B, she stockpiles food and then convinces other people that stockpiling food must be a good idea as well, because people are going to be watching that going, oh, why don't I stockpile this amount of food? Oh, and it's like, no one should be stockpiling that much food of anything. No one should have any amount of that, like no one should have that like stuff in that amount of quantity. Nothing. It just makes zero sense. And do not get me started on her just absolute FU to the environment that she does every single day of her life, with all of the like paper, plastic, whatevers, or not even paper plates, plastic. And I'm just like, oh god. Like in the UK, we have the most strictest recycling routine, like the most strictest recycling routine. It's all paid for by the government. We've got to separate everything. We've got our glass, we've got our paper, we've got our cardboard, we've got our plastic, we've got our food waste, and we've also got our nappy bin. We've literally got like, some of us have literally got like 6 different bins, but it's like, and then you then watch her just chucking everything into the same bin, and it just makes me like, it makes my European brain like want to explode a little bit. But I think that's just the difference between the countries, I suppose. But yeah, so disrespectful sharing about the kids peeing themselves and showing what they use. Their friends from school probably watch these. It is not your kids' job to bring awareness about anything, so stop trying to disguise it as that. Talk about your own illnesses and bodily functions if you want to bring awareness. Yes, 110%. This is what I'm always banging on about. She never, ever, ever divulges information about herself. It's always about the kids. Always about the kids. It's never about herself. She never, like, it's all well and good saying that you want to bring awareness to things. You're not using your own personal experiences. You're using your kids' personal experiences. You're hiding behind them going, hey, you should really be like leading the way and spreading awareness, when the kids probably don't even realize this information is being broadcasted about them. If you want to raise awareness to something, you have to do it from your own experience. You can't use someone else's experience when they can't even consent to it. It makes absolutely no sense. It's like them doing like a press run for something where they literally had no idea that they were even involved in it in the very first place. That is what it comes across as. But no, but then someone was like, I love how you don't make a huge deal of anyone's issue with incontinence. No, she doesn't make a huge deal about it, but she does make a huge deal about it because she's literally talking about it on a public platform. It is more prevalent than what people think. It's like, yeah, it is more prevalent than people think, but it should be that person's right to share that information, not anyone else's, because it's not anyone else's business apart from the person who it's actually affecting. Do you know what I mean? Millions of people at all different stages of life suffer with it. It's like, yeah, that's all well and good, but could you not just let the actual person say it rather than their mum saying it when it's nothing to do with them? It's nothing to do with me, it's nothing to do with anyone else apart from that one person that it's affecting, and they should be given the right to be able to explain that to people when they want to, not have their mum take that away from them. Maybe they don't want that known. This person's like, oh, I don't think it's a big deal, but maybe it's a big deal to them. Everyone's completely different, and some people might not appreciate that. The whole thing makes zero sense, absolutely zero sense. And it just bugs me to no end the wastefulness. But anyway, that is me done with my rant. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.